Good morning, everybody.
Hello. Good morning, everyone.
We survived until Friday.
We did. We made it.
We're here.
You're here. We're all here.
Red, white, and some sort of green.
It looks blue.
Yeah, it does look blue.
It's like a midnighty navy.
It's like a
blue.
like a turquoisey but darker.
Yes.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the We're Better When We Come Together
Morning show.
with Dr. Terry.
As our coach.
Hey!
Austin.
And this guy. What's happening?
Hi.
Hello.
Chris Murphy.
That's me. That's me.
That's Chris.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? Thanks for joining us. Thanks for piling in.
Thanks for coming on in.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
We are celebrating our 20th anniversary this week. It was Wednesday. So, yes, we are that old. And no, you're not surprised. But we are telling our story this week. And we've got our last 5 years up to present
Yep.
that we're going to talk about. But we've been bookending the show. First, at the beginning, talking about helpful tips, things around COVID-19, coronavirus, pandemic kind of stuff. And then ending with any sort of questions, Q&As, questions you've sent us or questions that you ask us right here live.
Yes,
on the show.
indeed.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Looks like you have two cups fused together, he's saying. Yeah, it
Oh,
does.
yeah. That is true.
It does.
Yeah. This is funny. I use this mug almost every morning. I cycle through about 3 mugs total.
I have like 45 mugs.
And we own about 50 mugs. So I have one little section where I put my 2 mugs that I usually use. And then the rest of the cabinet is dedicated to housing your mugs.
I understand that I have a bit of a mug abuse problem.
Mug obsession problem?
I do. I'm super obsessed. I love mugs. I pick mugs based on how I'm feeling. Or sometimes they have words on them. Like I have a couple mugs with just a cuss, on there. And it's like, I feel it.
Yeah.
I just feel it.
We have one mug that is really funny, and I kind of pranked my dad with it one day because he's not a big
I can't believe you did this.
language person.
He does not. I've never heard him cuss before.
Yeah.
in
But we have
40
one
years.
that says, have a good day. And then when you tip it up to sip on it, it's got a little hand flipping the bird.
Middle finger, I'm not going to do it, but just picture it's this one. So his dad, his sweet, sweet dad, is drinking coffee and flicking us off all morning. And I'm like, listening to him. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine. Yes, I had 2 comments about hair. These are my natural curls. I just usually either blow dry it or sleep on it. I slept on these, but went with it anyway.
I like how when you do it, I slept on these.
I slept on this.
These little
I slept
things.
on this.
Yeah.
Reminds me of, did you ever read Ramona books?
Ramona, like Quimby. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
She had a friend named Susan in the stories that had curls, and she would pull her curl and spring it back.
Oh, well, let me be honest. I know the name Ramona Quimby. I don't know that I ever read any of the books.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you guys read Ramona? This is going to date us again.
I like to date. Let's date. Well, welcome everybody over on Instagram and over on Facebook as well. Good morning, Amanda. Good morning, Amy. And everybody over on Instagram. It's nice that we can get together Monday through Friday, 7-ish.
Yeah, 7-ish.
And hang out
Pretty
together.
close to 7 this morning. Everyone's going to be here. It's like church. You get here like 10, 15 minutes after the start time.
Yeah.
Miss all the crap at the beginning. Yeah. Just get right into the meat of it.
Exactly.
When you get there.
Exactly. Well, let's do our quick check-in that we've been doing. Yes, Beezus.
Beezus.
Yes, I remember those names.
Or Beezus.
But again, I did not
Good
participate
name.
in reading the books. Terry told me the day before yesterday, she was like, I'm reading this book right now and it's really good and I want you to read it, but apparently we have to get you the audio book because I know how you don't like to read. And I said, yeah, sometimes I read.
Listen, it was not a judgment or an attack. This
No,
is
I
about,
haven't.
I've known you so long that if you're going to, I almost put that in quotes, read something. Audiobooks count as books.
Yay! I'm a reader.
You do read. You just read with your ears and not your eyes.
Here's what I've realized is that for me, and I know this is going to sound like maybe a thing a dummy says, but I'm going to say it anyway. For me, it is more efficient to like do the dishes while I'm listening to an audiobook or a podcast or something like that in my ears. And so out of efficiency's sake, I like to listen to audiobooks because it's just quicker. I can put it on like 2x and listen to a book at twice the speed. So that means I can listen to a book while I'm doing the dishes, making the bed, driving down the road.
God, no. Have you had a person in your life who listens, not you, to 2x books and then you accidentally are like doing, like listening to something or reading along, or he just pops like a podcast or something on and it's so fast my ears bleed. I don't understand how you're
think
even
you are
taking
talking
in.
about me. I think this is referencing me. You're even using the pronoun he and pointing at me a little bit.
So it's interesting. We have different functions for books. And there are some books that I do listen to, but I think of, are you listening to me?
I am.
You reading now?
Oh, I am a little bit. I'll be honest with you. I am a little bit, but I'm also listening to you.
You can't do two things at the same time.
I can
talked about this yesterday.
I can read a book and ride down the interstate. How about that? That's two things.
I could too, but everyone would die, including me, because I would be reading it like this. So I think we have two different, why are we fighting? I have two different functions. I think there's two different functions of the way we read. You're taking in information while you're also doing other things. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
I used to feel that way about TV. Like I didn't feel like I had the right to watch TV and just like rest and like flop my body down and watch it. So I would fold laundry while I was watching it and like earn the right to watch TV.
I can attest to this.
But reading for me is also part of care and rest. It's care for you too, but it's not rest. Reading isn't restful for you. Reading is restful for me. Like I want to lay in my bed, or we sit by the fireplace, which is what we usually do after this show. We'll both go sit in our chairs next to the fireplace, meditate, pray, journal, and then I like to sit and read a book. It's quiet, the kids aren't up, the dog is usually sleeping, and books have always though been like an attachment for me. Couldn't really go to people when I was little to have my needs met, but I could go to books and I could disappear into like fiction and go into a fantasy world, and it was safe and it was fun. And so books for me are still about that sort of place. Yeah. It's like rest and quiet and calm. And so yeah, I can listen to some audiobooks, but if I'm really wanting to like dive deep into a book, I need a physical book. And I don't even really like Kindles. I want to have like paper in my hands. We spend a lot of time at McKay's, which is a used bookstore here. I don't know if they're in other places besides Tennessee.
I've seen a few locations, but I think all of the locations that I've seen are in Tennessee.
So
there's
it's like
one
a
in Chattanooga,
big
there's
used
one
bookstore,
in
like
Knoxville.
2 stories, this big warehouse looking place. And so I can take books that I've read, take them there, and then I can pick up new books and bring them home. And so it sounds like I'm trying to take moral high ground. I think I am. I think I'm judging you a little
well,
bit.
can I?
I'm not meaning, I don't know. This is happening live. We're going to have to process this with a witness.
I will say this too.
Witnessing.
Like getting immersive into a story, especially fiction, I agree. I really like opening the book, turning the pages. Like Amy's saying, she likes feeling the pages of the book.
And it smells so good.
Yep.
It smells like paper.
Yep. When it comes to reading something on, and dreams, oh, wow, paper and dreams.
Yeah.
That sounds like a mommy blog from the 2000s.
Oh, it does.
The aughts.
Or a bespoke store on like a square around Columbia, Tennessee.
I like that. Yeah. Sounds like we're going to be
Coming
opening
soon.
up a bookstore. And we'll also sell used coffee mugs there to get rid of some of our overstock.
The perfect time to open an in-person, physical-only business is in the middle of a pandemic. That's what we should do.
I appreciate what you're saying, but I think that we should hold off.
Okay.
All right.
What do you read books for?
What do I read books for?
Yeah. See, I'm going to ask you instead of judge you. I'm going to be curious and open and
I appreciate
practice
that.
what we
Although I
preach
can already
here.
feel that you have prejudged my array of answers.
No,
but
no.
I will say, I will.
Hey, wait. They don't know that you're joking right now.
Oh, I'm joking right now. I will echo what you said, that why I read books. I like to absorb the information. I like to say, even if I'm reading fiction, I'm like, hey, I'm reading this classic. I can say that I've read this book now.
It's like a information in or like a check. Like I've read it. I read some books for like check marks and stuff like that too.
What do you all prefer? Audiobooks
Put an
or
ear.
physical books?
You could drop an ear emoji in if that's what you love. Or I don't know, can they do that on Facebook? Or if it's a hard copy, you could put your book like that. And then we still haven't done our rating because we started talking about other things instead.
Well, yeah, that is true. I did want to get that. But now I'm all interested in what everybody does. So, audiobook, physical book. Audiobook, physical book. I want to know. I prefer audiobooks, but if this whole pandemic turns into like a zombie apocalypse situation where the electricity is knocked out, I'm not going to have use of my iPhone or my earbuds anymore, and so I will happily go back.
You got an audiobook vote right here.
Yes.
You know, it's harder for me
Jim Dale reading the Harry Potter.
I do like Jim Dale's Harry Potter audiobook.
Yep.
Because I don't know. I listen to all 7 of them every year.
Can I also say that I am a bit spoiled because I've been married to you for over 20 years now, and you have read hundreds of books to me over the years.
Yeah.
And so I think that in our early days, like when we moved from Alabama to California in 2001, we would stop at Cracker Barrels along the way and get audiobooks to listen to, and that was a lot of fun. But what was even more fun is when Terry discovered Harry Potter, probably 2002-ish or so.
Yeah, a little early. Well, yeah,
2002?
2001, 2002 maybe.
Yep, and she would read the audiobooks, or she would read the physical books while we were driving back and forth from work every day. So we had one car in Los Angeles, this little Honda Civic, and I would drop her off at work, and then I would go on to school from there. And the whole drive in, she would read Harry Potter out loud. So it was kind of an audio book, but it was just with a person reading.
The voices and everything, which is really fun. I can't do that as many as Jim Dale, but you know, we are not a British superstar award-winning audiobook reader over here either.
Jim Dale reading Harry Potter. Let's see. Real books, yeah, I get it. I hear you. I get the feel of it. I actually do. If I'm ever trying to read something like a PDF version of something, it's not as good as having paper in my hands.
I was trying to upload my Kindle book and make it a physical book, but I'd have to write 30 more pages for it to be big enough because my Kindle book is an under 90-minute read. It's only 99 cents on Amazon if you want it. It's called Connect. It's a great book, but I have wanted a physical copy of my own book, and I don't know that I'm going to go back and write. I should just put 30 blank pages at the end of it.
To make it a little heftier?
And you could just journal on the back.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
I could just write the word journal and then pretend like I meant to do that the whole time.
I did have a non-physical book fail in my master's program. I was in this one class where it was a reference book that we had to have.
Oh, yeah.
And I got the PDF version of it thinking that, like, this is cool. I've just got my iPad. I'm going to take notes on this thing. I've got the book already pre-installed on the iPad. I will look so nice and efficient. It was efficient as far as size goes. But when the professor would say, hey, look this up and then look in the back, you have to correlate this code in the front of the book with what it says about it in the back of the book. And so there's a lot of flipping back and forth. And people with the physical books, which is every student but me, was like zipping back and being able to answer the questions and raise their hand and get the answers right. And
that sucked.
Yeah, I couldn't keep up because I couldn't hold my place in one area and then go to the back and then come back as easily as everybody else did. So it was a nightmare. So I ended up having to, and then I went and bought the physical book as well. So I just had to do double duty with that one.
Well, hot.
It's probably because all this
I think it's because you're
hot book action. Well, let's move on from our talks
about. Wait, we have to do our 1 to 10.
Yeah, that's what I'm moving on to.
Oh, okay.
So recently we have been doing how you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10.
How you feeling?
Yeah, this is.
How you feeling?
Yeah, 1 to 10, and during this pandemic situation.
Well, just today, because what we've been talking about is your feelings are going to go up and down, especially in all of the unknowns. And right in this moment, you could be high, you could be low, you could be anywhere in between. You could also toss a surf emoji in the comments, which is usually what I would do, and then my number also, because I'm always on my way up or down. I think yesterday I was a 4, and then I'm going to take a second and check in with myself if you already know.
Yeah. So 1 being you're really low right now. You're not doing well with all of the news and the information and just the overwhelming nature that we find ourselves in. A 10 is like, I feel perfect. It's like the pandemic is not even going on. I'm getting things done. I'm able to thrive in my life. So 1 being I'm not doing very well at all. 10 meaning I'm thriving in the midst of all this. Where are you now? Put a surf emoji if you're riding the waves right now. And again, some of you that have been doing this every day, your numbers have been different every day, and that makes
That's not
sense.
bad. Yeah. That's a good thing. What's your number? Do you know?
I think that I'm around a 7 or an 8 today.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah.
I say I'm at a 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a little up from yesterday when I checked in. And I did this yesterday a couple different times. Yeah, I've got work after this until 12. So it's actually not a bad day.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Yeah, 5s.
Got some 5s. Got a 6 over here.
Yeah, that's great.
For me, one of the reasons why I feel like I'm at a 7 or an 8 today is that I was able to get out yesterday and move my body in a way that I haven't been able to do in several days. I was also able to hang out with both the kids and you quite a bit yesterday. And the dog. And there was something about seeing our dog exhausted after having gone on a run, walk.
He ran with you and then 4 miles, and then he ran 4 miles with me. So our dog did 8 miles yesterday, not including probably the 50 miles he runs in our house.
Yeah, exactly. And so there was something about that because I've had some stress just around like looking at all of us cooped up. And
oh, really?
Yeah, just, knowing that we're responsible for a couple of smaller humans and a dog, and I get a lot of information from you, kind of just checking in with you throughout the day, and so I feel really good this morning. I got a good night's rest. So
Amy's at a 6, and she said Ohio has a stay-at-home order. Alabama just moved all their schools online for the rest of the year. We have not heard that yet in Tennessee, but I feel like it's coming. We still have a stay-home order in place in Franklin, a shelter at home.
Yeah.
And Nashville, Davidson County still has another week or more of that also. Amanda's at a 7.
Yeah.
Blessed to still have a job, but the governor announced yesterday that schools will be online the rest of the school year. Yeah. And you're in healthcare, so thank you so much for what you do too. Virginia has moved all schools online. Just feels smart. Now, man, I am still seeing folks in our neighborhood. Hold on. Let's be mad and judgy and air our grievances. This is the airing of the grievances.
I like it.
Serenity Now.
Yeah.
We're going to do it for a minute. So check in with yourself. What has you lit and mad or sad or frustrated about whatever is here? And then we're going to let ourselves feel it all. And then we're going to go back and have some perspective again. So do you have any grievances to air?
Mine is the same as yours.
We're looking at our window, going on walks, keeping our distance, and there is a group of probably 25 people in our neighborhood just playing basketball, bumping into each other.
Yeah, shirts and skins basketball.
Shirts and skins. Sure, I should just watch them sneeze into each other's eyeballs and just sweat in each other's mouths and things like that. Pissed me off. It made me mad, and I would go over there and talk to them, but I would get sick, possibly, and it makes me so mad. Playing with everyone that you know in your neighborhood still is not shelter in place. Like even in your neighborhood, you need to be 6 feet away. It's the people in your household that you can interact with, not everyone you've ever met before ever.
And here's the deal. Are most of them going to get the coronavirus right now?
So mad.
Probably not. And so it will justify the fact that it's okay for them to go and play basketball together and to do all that. But again,
the risk is higher for everyone though.
The idea is we are trying
Good morning, Laura.
put ourselves into this quarantine, self-quarantining, isolation,
Yep.
so that we can all, regardless of if we get it or not, we are lessening the opportunities to get it ourselves and lessening the opportunities for those around us to get it.
You're not mad right now.
No,
You're being
I'm
so reasonable. Let me tell you the story that I'm telling myself
Yes.
about why these people are playing basketball. What I tell myself is, where are their parents? Do they care at all about anybody else? I am 100% better than all of y'all, and I'm doing it right, and you all deserve to be in trouble, and I hope the sheriff that keeps driving around our neighborhood arrests all of y'all. Oh, it makes me so mad.
Now here's the deal. I've
Wait,
seen.
I'm not done.
I was gonna be mad with you.
Oh, okay, yeah. You be mad, and then I need to talk again.
Here, so all those people were playing basketball, bumping into each other, doing some really good defense, which means you got to be right up on each other.
They were on each other.
And the sheriff was riding around throughout
Yes.
the day, and not one time did that sheriff turn down.
I would
to
at
go
least
talk
be
to
like,
people.
whoop, and at least scare the shit out of everybody. So that is not necessarily the very best, most compassionate part of me.
Oh.
But it's under my anger, when I let my anger come up, like right now when I'm like burning and I can say it and I can name it, and the story I'm telling myself and all that crap. Then
All that crap.
once it's up, then and it's listened to and I feel heard and understood, which is what anger demands, is boundaries and safety and care. Angry equals protest. I am protesting what I'm seeing. And when I can do that and my anger's done its job, like I can already feel it dissipating, like a cloud in the sky, then it floats away. And what it's left me with is sadness and fear, right? It's my sadness and my fear.
Yeah,
That's exactly
yeah.
right, Laura. It's my justice. It has to burn, because if I don't listen to that, it will actually come out sideways. It might come out at me, and I've done this since we've been here, yelling at my own kids who have not been out there playing with everyone.
Oh, they still want to.
Or yelling at children who come and knock on my door and ring the doorbell. I might yell at them. That is not the proper place to place this anger. No parents have come and knocked on my door. None of that. I need to talk to Chris. I need to pray about it. I need to meditate on this, and I need to journal, and I need to name and let all this stuff come
You've
up.
done a really good job of naming it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But then what I feel, the sadness and the fear, is I feel really sad that either the kids out there aren't being told the severity of what's going on, or they don't know, or the parents don't really know. Because if I really believe that everyone is doing the best that they can, and I really do, then people have different priorities. People see things in a different way, and parents ultimately do get to make certain choices, even if I don't agree with them, even if I would do it differently. And it isn't the children's fault, right? What kids do isn't the kids trying to be ugly, rude, go against orders, any of that stuff. That isn't about them, right? I need to really be addressing this in a different sort of way. And so that gives me access then to my own fear, which is we're all going to get sick.
Yeah.
They might bring something and get my kids or my family sick, or they're going to end up infecting each other and everybody else, and then it's going to be worse instead of better.
Yeah.
So the playgrounds are shut down, the dog park is shut down, and we still saw people getting together in a field close, letting their dogs play and just hanging out and breath talking
Isn't that,
to
look
each
at
other.
them doing that, David.
And
It was like they all clandestinely met in a field.
I'm going to be honest, I
All
tried
secret
as
life.
hard as I could to make my eyes be lasers and shoot them with
Yeah.
the looks like my mom used to give me, like,
Yeah.
it didn't work.
Yeah,
and I
here's-
hadn't talked about my anger yet, so I had to come home and we had to talk about it. So can you feel it in your body? Like when the anger comes, and then do we have the courage to give voice to our anger? It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means that you're paying attention.
Yeah.
Paying attention. Frustration is just a key that something isn't resonating. I wouldn't feel integrated if it was me, but others may. And right now, it isn't illegal in our little town to be out. It is a suggestion, and people can defy that. if they choose to do that.
Yeah, they closed all the publicly held parks and playgrounds and those types of things that the city owns. But in our little town or in our neighborhood, this is a private neighborhood. And so I think that that's one of the reasons that there were a lot of vehicles that drove in. And so most of the time people just walk over to the playground to play. There were
People
a lot
are
of
driving
vehicles
here to hang
yesterday,
out.
so which is usually like, hey dude, come over to our place. They haven't closed our basketball court kind of deal.
We still had kids ringing our doorbell yesterday for kids to
Yeah.
come and play. What we've decided to do though, and we sit on our front porch, which is probably, I don't know what, 12 feet from the sidewalk. It's pretty
At least,
close, but what I've chosen to do in those moments is I will not be the person who projects my anger onto children or neighbors out of my fear. I will talk to Chris about it. I will journal about it. I'm going to talk to God about it. And I'm going to, every day, need to tune in because I feel angry every day right now, at least for some part of the wave.
Yeah.
I feel fear and anxiety and sadness every day. And
Yeah.
sometimes it catches me out of the blue and I haven't always dealt with it really well. Like sometimes it has come out sideways at my kids and I have to apologize. But I'm the bigger, stronger, wiser, kind one in the room. I am able to regulate myself. And that's my job.
Yeah.
I am responsible. I can't control everyone in the neighborhood, though that would be my go-to. Can I please control you all? If you don't have a plan and purpose for your life, I do.
Well, see, I think that this is a perfect example of how the anger coming up is this secondary emotion that speaks to a deeper emotion that you're feeling, which is the sadness and the fear.
I would say this is primary anger, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, there's
Secondary
absolutely.
anger, primary. Do you know what
Yeah.
we're talking about? Secondary emotion. Reactive anger is like anger that covers over other sorts of things. Mad regulation skills.
Yeah.
So that, like when you stub your toe and it's really painful and you rage and say the F word, just me, I don't know. But really what you're feeling is pain. And then you're angry, like, who put this furniture here? What did that do? That's like reactive secondary anger that covers hurt. Anger, though, can also be a primary emotion, when it's about righteous fury, righteous anger, protective, boundary setting, protest. That is primary. And what I feel in my core, it really feels like a fire inside of me that's coming from deep down, not a, oh, why won't you listen to me about my sadness or my hurt, or you hurt me. It's not that anger, though I have had that as well. I've had anger on top of anger, like an anger tiramisu, if you will.
I like that. An anger lasagna.
An anger lasagna. But this, I feel like, is like their lives on the line. Like, take it seriously, please. That's what the primary anger is. And when I can tune into that, then I can also have access to softer, gentler emotions, which is actually the energy that I want to move into my life in. I don't mind both.
Yeah.
But I really want to be able to be a person in the world who has compassion for other people, especially when they're doing things that I don't agree with. But I also get to have boundaries. Just because you guys, parents, are letting you play in the neighborhood does not mean you get to come to our house and play. So I can be compassionate and say F off at the same time, right? I go infect each other or disregard safety measures for whatever reason. And I really still believe their parents have to be doing the best that they can. I have to believe that. So, but we're going to set boundaries, because if that is the best that they can do, that doesn't meet our family's boundary requirements.
Yeah.
And so no one's coming in and bringing that with them into our family system. Psh.
Tell it, sister. I
All
love
right.
it.
What do we tell the kids when we tell our kids no? What am I telling the other kids? So when they've come and ringed the doorbell, ringed it.
They did something
English
with the
is
doorbell.
hard. English is hard. I used
They
to be
touched
really
it and it
good.
made sounds
Boing,
in the
bong.
past.
I hear the
Past
doorbell. Rage is actually typically my first response. Well, no, that's not true. My first response is hope that it's Amazon. My second response,
You get
is-
another physical book or coffee mug in the mail.
right, that I'm going to Lysol and leave on the porch for a bit. But my second response is rage and judgment. And so I have to breathe for a minute and tell myself the mantra, this isn't the child's fault. And then I go to the door, and I don't know what you've said. Maybe you can share what you say. But what I've said is, hi, sweetie, we're not playing. with other kids for at least 2 more weeks, so you can come back at the end of the month. Like, you can come back later, 2 weeks from now. We're quarantined.
Yeah.
And I don't correct them thinking that maybe one of us has maybe been exposed or not. Not that kids are really thinking that, just we're here. We're not letting anybody in, and we're not going out to play.
That's essentially what I've said. And I've gotten to the point now in my old age where I am now past the point where I feel like that I need to be overly polite to the kids. There was a long time where I'm just like, hey guys, how's it going? And I'm still usually like that.
You are kind.
But in this case, I'm like,
kind and firm.
Deuces, dudes. I will see you in a little bit. We're staying in here. We don't chastise the other kids.
Nope, not my job.
When we close the door and our kids complain that they can't go play with their friends, which they have, and they will probably continue to do.
They've had a hard time.
Is that, hey, we want this to be over as soon as possible.
G2, hi.
So the sooner that we can play our part to flatten that curve and to eradicate this, or to at least get out of this zone of danger around it, maybe the warmer weather coming, who knows what the facts are. We are just listening to those who know more than us, who have said, stay where you are until this blows over. We are doing that so that we can get out sooner. And so we're going to make hard choices today so that hopefully in the near future we can get back and return to our lives as usual.
It's like saving money. Nobody wants to do it right now, but if you do it then later, there's a better payoff.
Yeah.
So parenting wise and being around kids, the most secure kids, based on research, had parents or caregivers or systems that were both high in warmth and engagement and high in structure and support. If you have too much warmth and engagement, not enough structure, support, boundaries, those kids have the lowest self-esteem, other than kids who are neglected, right? So that's really, it's not great, for kids not to have that kind of structure, because structure makes kids feel safe. They don't need to be the decision makers in the room. They need to be the ones who look to the adults to make those decisions, so they just get to be kids. And it actually relaxes kids. They don't feel like they have to be the ones anticipating, making choices, being responsible. If you have a lot of structure in the room or with your kids, but you don't have warmth and engagement, that's like authoritarian. You do what I say. I don't have to explain to you. It's because I said so. Then those kids don't feel heard, tuned into, loved. They tend to respect their parents and respect authority figures typically, but don't really feel so good inside. And then if you don't have either, that like you have your food and shelter and water and whatever, but you don't really have rules and you don't have warmth and engagement, then that's really, those parents are just uninvolved. So what we try to provide, not just for our own children, but for any kid that comes in our house, is both. We still have rules and boundaries in our house, but man, we love you.
Yeah. We
care about you. You are welcome here. It's part of what I think is really hard, is all the kids in the neighborhood usually play in our house. We're the place that has the snacks and the parents who will ask you how your day is and care about you, and you still have rules here. You still have a bedtime. You still need to be appropriate and bring your dishes to the sink, but man, you get to play and have fun and that sort of thing. So I also have a lot of compassion for the kids who are coming here too, right? When I really let myself feel all of everything, I feel a little sad that maybe these kids need a safe place to be right now too, especially right now. So I get it. We love these kiddos, ours and our neighborhood ones. I mean, we basically share custody with our neighbor across the street. So we've been yelling across from our porch, how are y'all? We're great. How are you? I don't know. Ask me tomorrow.
Yeah, luckily we live in a neighborhood where it's kind of a front porch neighborhood. And so there can be a lot of neighborly enjoyment from a distance. So that's kind of what we've been doing. And it's a bummer, man. I'll be honest. It is a situation where we don't want to do this. We don't want to be the fuddy-duddies. We don't want to be those people who are making this seem overblown or whatever, but we're just trying to hold the line that we've heard from other people. And so maybe we'll look back at this and go, hey, we really did it. Now what we know is that you can hang out with each other and everybody's going to get it and might as well let it filter through, whatever that may be. But right now we've been told to hang out, let this blow over, and then move on from there. So that's what we're doing. And so we've tried to be compassionate to all those people, but we also do reserve the right to get angry when we see what we're doing is we're trying to hang out over here and do our part. So then our kids can go back out and play. But then when we see like 25 people over there playing shirts and skins basketball, and they are absolutely not all related, it's a bummer of a situation because all we want to do is go back to normal.
Did you say that? Our kids are the ones pointing it out? My daughter looked over at the basketball court with like 30 people playing touch basketball or whatever. And she was like, I don't think that those are all siblings, Mom. Right? They can't all be related.
Right.
Because we've had that conversation with them.
Sure.
So we need to talk about our story.
Let's do it.
We still have time.
Absolutely.
So previously on the Come Together Morning Show, we met when we were 3, when our parents carpooled us to preschool. I'm just going to hit high notes on the way.
In Alabama,
In a small farming rural community where there was only one public school system in our whole county, K through 12. So we were in the same school, even though we lived probably far apart for a lot of our high school type. I lived across the street from the high school, which was kind of cool. So we went to school all the years together, dated briefly for like 2 weeks in our sophomore year or junior year.
Junior year. Yeah.
And then Chris ghosted me and we were just friends again. Well, it's true.
No, I know.
Use a different word?
No. I'm just bummed.
It's before ghosting was a thing.
Let me be honest with you all. I'm bummed because I missed out on some prime makeout time.
I know.
Yeah. And, I wish that I could have handled it better. My little high school brain at that point did not handle things well.
You didn't have a fully developed frontal lobe.
Which is what I kept telling myself at 16 in the mirror. Chris, you don't have a frontal lobe that is fully developed. You gotta be patient with yourself. Eventually all this will work out. But right now, just let that prefrontal cortex just come online. It'll all be okay in time. No, I didn't know what to do. I was bummed the way that I handled that.
That's okay. I forgive you.
Because I just left you out in the cold. You just got to sit over there and try to assume what I'm doing by being weird, like a lot of high school guys are, and I fell into that.
Honestly, it was sad and a bit of a bummer.
Yeah.
But it's high school. I didn't really date people long term. You were like a serial monogamous long term. Like the person you dated was like, what, almost like a year and 9 months? Is that right? How long you and Christy dated?
2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way I would have wasted 2.5 years of my life in prime makeout time. I had to make my rounds.
Moving on. So yes, we went to the same high
school. We went to college in 2 different states and had a long distance relationship for like a year.
Mm-hmm.
You moved back here. Chris was a youth pastor when we were first married. And that was really hard for both of us. I did not like being made an example at 19 years old for kids in the youth group. I remember one lady told me I needed to wear pantyhose to church. And I came home and told you, that's it. I quit. I quit being a pastor's wife. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it anymore. I refuse. I absolutely am not going to be the standard bearer.
Yeah. Some dude
Especially not in pantyhose.
Some older man came up to me just irate because I was the youth pastor at this church for a couple of years. That a couple of the youth that they weren't people that went to church or grew up in church or knew the rules, came up to me irate that a couple of the boys in the youth group were wearing hats inside.
Inside the building or inside a service?
Inside the building, yeah. Inside the building.
Wait, this isn't Texas where you can wear your cowboy hat inside. This is Alabama where people wear baseball caps. Yeah. You got to take it off when you go inside. Just in case you ever go to Alabama and wonder why people are giving you the evil eye.
Hey, a quick administrative side note. Those of you on Facebook, I needed to do a quick bit of moderating a bit ago. Can one of you just send a quick message so I can make sure that we're still getting messages sent into Facebook? I needed to, again...
Our relationship with Facebook is complicated.
We're still trying to figure it out because when we're live, we can't quite just like go into the details and see what's going on. So just want to make sure that we're still getting a message. Just a letter will do or an emoji. Just want to make sure. Hey, there we go. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Oh, good. Okay.
Thanks.
So we're still working over there. Good.
And
all right.
we got some hearts over there.
Back to normal. So we finally
moved.
dated, and then we got married in 2000. Then we moved to Los Angeles in 2001, which brings us. So on Monday we talked about getting up to the point of living in the same hometown, getting married. Tuesday we talked about 2000 to 2005, moving to Los Angeles. You in the career as a military officer, and then 2005 to 2010 we talked about you getting out of the military. I felt lost was the word that you used there, but not really knowing what was going on. We had kids during that time. We moved to Nashville in 2007 while we were pregnant with our daughter.
I could also call that time grief.
Yes, absolutely. Yesterday we talked about 2010 to 2015, where the word
Death
that I
and
used
rebirth.
was waking up, and you used death and rebirth. And now, Friday, just wrapping up from 2015 to current day in 2020. What has happened for you since then?
Well, Chris Murphy, I got a doctorate. No big deal. Started that in 2014 during rebirth period, like really finding myself. Who am I? Who do I want to be in the world? I would say when I turned 30, I realized, doing everything right, performing perfectly is not a standard I'm ever actually going to meet. So I have to give that up, and it felt like failing and dying. I'm also an Enneagram 3, so the idea of letting go of my definition of success, successful mom, successful wife, successful worker, all burnt to the ground. I had to burn it all. And it really did feel like dying. Like the kind of crying I did. I don't know if you've ever cried, like grief, giving up a dream kind of crying, but that's what it was like. I thought I was going to lose my marriage. And not that we were going to get divorced, really. I don't even know that we really ever talked about that, because he was still my person, even though I didn't like him at all. And you didn't like me. We're not so connected. But burning all of that to the ground, what I thought was going to happen is I was going to lose everything in those times. And I did. But what emerged, it's like in Harry Potter when Fawkes the Phoenix bursts into flame. He was really sick right before he burned. But he was alive. So letting go of what makes us sick or keeps us stuck or keeps us blocked will feel like death. And yet when we do it and we let go of expectation and clinging and control and how things are supposed to be, the shoulds, when you do let go of that, it does burn. Boom, I lost friendships. I lost old, deep, important friendships of mine. Disconnection from some family while they were watching me struggle. People kept saying to me, it doesn't have to be this hard. You do not have to struggle this way. You don't have to let it all go. But I did. And I knew there was intuition, God inside me. I knew that this was what was required of me, because if I kept even a thread of the old way, it was going to keep me from actually being who I was made to be, who God made me to be. So through that whole burning process and that rebirth, stepping into the 2015, which was a year into my doctorate, I started to actually feel more comfortable in my skin. For the first time ever, I was like, oh, this is me. I like her. I like me. We started practicing radical honesty, which is telling the honest truth about where each of us were, because it was I was clinging to honesty and authenticity and integrity, that my outside self and inside self were the same self, it was a life raft and life was the ocean. Because life is the ocean. It actually is. It's unpredictable. It's deep. We don't even know what the hell is down there.
You've got one of these as well. Just one life.
I thought the raft was stuff and success and performance, but the raft is God and the universe and love and me. And so clinging on to honesty, which is all that it really is anyway. I actually am who I am. Glennon Doyle says, dressing yourself up to go to church, and I would add, or to life or work or your neighborhood, pretending to be something else is like wearing a fancy outfit to get an x-ray, right? it makes no sense. You're gonna what's inside is real already anyway. And I feel like when we run into people, that feeling we get of like, oh, I can just be with this person when someone else is just being themselves, is that feeling of like, oh, we're both just us.
Yeah.
Instead of all the layers and all of the stuff that gets in the way.
Yeah.
So I would say 2015 to now has more been an undoing and relearning over and over again. Like I'm starting to accept that it's a cycle, and I'm not just in a steady state. And now I've realized I don't think I ever will be. I think life is going to be riding the ocean, and that the ocean is normal. I kept thinking I would get to a place where it plateau and finally I would have arrived.
You just feel certain about everything.
Yeah, now I'm going to know, because that's what it looked like with my parents and other adults, is like, oh, they just know they're fine. They were not fine. No one was fine. Nobody's fine. Fine is bullcrap. Where's my flag? I need to throw
See,
it
that's the issue that for me I've recognized over the last 5 years, is that the perspective of knowing that where we currently are, we may not understand it now.
Yes.
But hopefully we can look back in time and go, oh, that's the reason that I was in that. That's why I needed to go through that, because it's made me a stronger version of myself on the other end. And the biggest lesson that I've learned over these past 20 years of being married is that I have to be okay with change in both of us. And so for so long, in those times of rebirth and of darkness and trying to figure out who we were, we had to become those versions of ourselves to become the people that we are now. But it was painful in those moments. It was hard. It was hard to be patient. It was hard to be kind to each other in those moments. But to like move through that and to realize now that like, oh, part of this whole journey is that we're going to be very, very different than where we were 20 years ago. And that's part of the process of being human. Yeah. And so we've decided to do life together. And so what we have had to realize over the years is that doing life together means we have to be okay with us moving at different paces, if that's even a word, go at different times, learning at different times, struggling, sometimes succeeding, sometimes failing, but that's okay, because that's this whole process of living, and we're just doing it together. So we have to be patient with one another. So for the last 5 years for me, it's just accepting that I'm not going to be who I was yesterday, and that's all right. And some of that's going to be really good, some of that's not going to be so great, and I need to be able to apologize when I really F up. I need to be able to stand firm and go, no, this is the new me, and I need both of us to like get used to this new version of ourselves.
You might not like it when your partner starts to change, or when you do. That's okay. We don't like new foods when we try them. The first time I looked at like sushi, I was like, never, this isn't happening. Now I like it. So your partner changing is like trying sushi or a new food or whatever.
That's a t-shirt right there.
The anterior cingulate in your brain, it's like this little horseshoe shaped part that goes around your amygdala. Its whole job is trust, mistrust, safe, not safe. And any kind of new thing that comes in sets off that alarm, and you initially mistrust new things. And it's not because you're a bad person, it's because your brain is wired that way. So give it a minute. You just have to keep trying. Oh, you like our use of the letter F? You know what? That's it's my favorite word. Okay, so the key, how do you know when you're in transition? Because I do want to talk about this. How do you know when it's time to shed that layer of you that no longer serves you best? For me, have you ever seen a butterfly inside a cocoon? Like after the caterpillar melts into goo and then gets put back together a little bit? Hold this, I have to demonstrate. And you see like the little butterfly inside, there's the cocoon, but you see it's like moves a little bit and it's like this, but it's still got that thing around it. Inside of me, I have that swirly,
that
frustrated, uncomfortable, this is too tight, this doesn't really fit anymore. And what I have found with myself and my clients is when we start to do that, what we say is, you should be happy with what you have. Right? You should be pleased. Don't you have a good family? Don't you have a good life? Don't you have a good career? And we say this to women really more than we say it to men. You should be satisfied with the life you have. And yet we're like, what? And so sometimes we will numb ourselves out and pretend like we don't have that thing happening inside. And we'll just pretend like we're just going to live in this cocoon forever. And cocoons are safe. But that's not what butterflies are made for. You're made to be glorious, right? But it's crap to try and come out of that cocoon. It hurts. You get squashed. It's yucky. No one understands because you went in as a caterpillar, and people are more comfortable with caterpillars. It's not quite so dangerous, right? Because they're stuck and grounded. But in there, when you start to feel this thing, first just noticing that you're feeling it, which was me Monday morning, which kind of freaked you out. I typically feel frustrated and angry and discontent. And discontent used to feel shameful to me. And I would even say to myself the same thing that had been told to me my whole life, and not just by my parents, but by society and culture and the church and certain parts of the church. Never God. Which is, if you are discontent, you're doing something wrong. You need to be grateful, and you need to be positive, and you need to be satisfied. But here's the thing, y'all. I can be grateful as F, that word's for Laura, and discontent. Because I know that there is something on the other side of this growth that is going to need me, and that I'm going to need it. So do we have the courage that no matter what the messages are, no matter what the blocks are, we're going to honor the blocks. I'm going to listen to the fear and say, thank you very much, fear. You've done your job. You've warned me of the potential dangers. I choose living and coming out of the cocoon and breaking through whatever this shell of whatever it is, and risking that part than to stay inside, stay in my place, stay in here, numb myself out. Because here's the thing, if you are discontent and you're not paying attention to that and letting yourself fully flare your wings out and come out of that cocoon, if you're not doing that, then what's happening to you is you're going to have to take the edge off in some way. And for me, it was booze for a while, drinking too much when my kids were little. I told you guys about that yesterday, which I don't do anymore because I don't ever want to numb or take myself out of the clearest place. What is it for you? What would be the thing that you have done before? Also, by the way, getting really productive and working all the time and setting goal after goal after goal after goal numbs me too, which is different than calling my purpose the kind of work where I get into flow. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about busyness. Yeah. Busy for the sake of busy. Yeah. So I'm just not going to do that anymore. When you feel that wrestling, that thing inside, that discontent, it is an invitation, not a criticism, not that you're doing something wrong. What if you just ask yourself in those moments, what is this discontent, this frustration, this anger trying to tell me? What is it inviting me to? And do I have the courage and the time and the energy and the presence to call that part of me forth?
Remember what we talk about a lot, which is these emotions that we're feeling, whether it's the discontent, the anger, the fear, the hurt, the loneliness, the shame, whatever messages they may be, they are like lights on a dashboard. They are trying to come on to tell us, pay attention to this. Pay attention to what's going on in your life, because this emotion, this light on the dashboard is, if you trace it back through the vehicle, it's going back to a need that the car has to continue running appropriately. And so just in the same way that the car has that dash light, the emotion that we are getting is trying to go back through and tell us something in our life about a need that we have. Yeah. So pay attention to those emotions and try to really suss it out, because sometimes, like what we were talking about a minute ago,
I love it.
A minute ago, sometimes we have an emotion that is trying to point us towards another emotion that's telling us about a need, which is what sometimes anger can be, which is what we were talking about earlier, being a secondary emotion. Sometimes it can be the thing you need to pay attention to, but sometimes anger is your body and your mind and your soul's response to go like, hey, I'm angry right now because you're not paying attention to me, and that not paying attention, it really makes me feel lonely.
So listen to your anger, listen to your discontent, and it will take you where you need to go. Yeah. Rather than ignoring it or saying, oh, this isn't really about anger, which is what I used to do. Boom. Oh, it's secondary. I don't have to listen to my anger. Yeah, but the quickest way to get to a primary, if your anger really is secondary, is to first listen to it. Yeah. Right? It's saying pay attention. It's just like my kids. If they're going, Mom, I'm not paying attention, they'll yell at me. And then if I'm like ignoring their anger and just trying to meet the need, then I've missed them. It's not tuned in. Yeah. Tune into yourself. Like every part of whatever your experience is trying to either teach you something or let you know that something is going on. Your head lies, your body doesn't. Right? Bodies don't lie. Bodies tell the truth. So you can count on that.
Your body keeps the score. Your body keeps the score.
I like it.
Yeah.
Psh, psh, psh.
It's that song.
rapping?
I think it's like Prodigy or something from the 90s. Your body hits the floor. Or maybe it's like Rob Zombie.
Oh, yeah.
But every time I hear the book, The Body Keeps the Score, I think The Body Hits the Floor
You should
by Rob
totally do
Zombie.
a parody of
Your
that.
body hits the floor. Okay, anyway.
Body hits the
So, as we unplug...
Wait. I want to say one more thing. If you're feeling discontent and you're finding that you are realizing you're in a time of wrestling and rolling around in a cocoon that's too tight for you, that you're ready to come out, one of the things that I do, and I don't know if this will work for you, this is just what I have found for myself, that if I can create space and rest, I need to not be taking in so much information when I'm in those times.
Ooh, well said.
What I need to do is actually quiet everything around me and spend more time in prayer and meditation. Personally, that's what helps me go in and listen. And then
Well said.
I feel whatever that truth, that integrity, that authenticity inside of me is trying to tell me. And then I journal it. So go in and then write it down before I go back and talk to Chris or go back into the world or take in more information. That space for me is essential. And I don't even like space. I don't even like that. But this isn't about like and dislike. This is about growing and tuning in and listening to your intuition and not ignoring it. I think we have like an intuitive sense that there's going to be work to do there, that it's going to cost us some energy and time and possibly shift everything around us. That's okay, right? You're worthy of that. You don't have to earn the right to be present with yourself or to change or to grow. And you also do not have to explain it to anybody. I am not explaining my growth to anybody anymore. I will not defend my authenticity to anyone.
Yeah. That's a perfect segue to what I was going to say, was that since we're not going to be together in person like this on Saturday and Sunday morning, just use that as a practice this weekend.
That's a great idea.
This is a positive side of going through a worldwide pandemic is that our emotions are usually closer to the surface than maybe they usually are if we're just going about our day,
That's a great point.
going to work, coming home from work, taking care of the families, and doing it all over again the next day. Whatever that life usually looks like for you, today and for the past couple of weeks has been thrown into upheaval. So pay attention to you and your emotions and what those needs may be, trying to call out by having those emotions come
I gotta
up.
go.
Yeah.
Last thing I'm gonna say, my fear was that if I was really fully my authentic self, not just trying to be whatever I either thought Chris wanted me to be or the world wanted me to be, or even that I wanted me to be separate from who I actually am, I was afraid that we wouldn't be as close, that the cost would be how much I like being connected and close to Chris. The opposite happened. The more authentic he is, the more authentic I am, the less we have expectations of each other, and the more that we work and are present and tuned into each other, actually the better our relationship has gotten.
Yeah.
So I gotta go on that note, but I love you guys. We're so grateful for you, and we will be right here Monday morning.
This
at
work is
7
not
a.m.
easy, but it's worth it. So
Yep. Love you guys.
stay strong. Love you all. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
You got this. Bye, everybody.